Chosen one, take a breath with me. Because if you clicked on this, if you paused long enough to listen, it's not meaningless. And no, this isn't about fear. This isn't about pressure. This is about recognition. You've been sensing something. Maybe you couldn't explain it. Maybe you didn't want to say it out loud because you were tired of being the one who feels everything. But deep down, you knew. Something has been shifting. And January 13th carries that shift in a way that feels different. Not loud, not chaotic, but unmistakable. Like a quiet door finally opening, like a timeline turning, like your inner world and your outer world starting to speak the same language again. So let's be clear from the start. You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not imagining things. You're waking up to what you've been carrying and what you're ready to release. And we're not doing this alone, because if you've been feeling isolated in your thoughts, if you've been praying quietly, if you've been trying to hold it together while no one truly sees how heavy it's been, I want you to hear this. You are safe here. You are understood here. You are with people who get it. We're in this together. Now listen. You don't need to force anything tonight. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't need to be perfect to be chosen. You don't need to be fearless to be guided. You only need one thing: honesty. Because honesty is what opens the door. Honesty is what breaks the cycle. Honesty is what turns confusion into clarity. So let's talk about what's been real for you. There were days you tried your best and still felt behind. There were nights you went quiet because you didn't want to burden anyone. There were moments you smiled in public and fell apart in private. There were times you asked, "Am I doing something wrong?" Times you wondered, "Why is it taking so long?" Times you whispered prayers so small they barely had words because you didn't even know what to ask for anymore. And still, you kept going. That matters, because the version of you that kept showing up, the version of you that kept breathing through uncertainty, the version of you that kept hoping even when hope felt fragile, that version of you has been building something. What felt like delay was building strength. What felt like silence was building discernment. What felt like confusion was building capacity. And that's why January 13th feels like a turning point. Because when a season ends, it doesn't always end with fireworks. Sometimes it ends with a breath. Sometimes it ends with a decision. Sometimes it ends with your heart finally saying, "I'm ready to stop living like this." And that's what tonight is, a turning point. Not because you're suddenly someone else, but because you finally stop abandoning yourself. So here's what I want you to do right now. Gently, with me. Take a deep breath in. Slow. Hold it for a moment, and release it like you're letting go of a weight your body has been carrying without your permission. Do it again. And now, quietly, either in your mind or out loud, say this: "I release what I can't control." Say it again, slower. "I release what I can't control." Because surrender isn't weakness. Surrender is intelligence. Surrender is the moment you stop gripping an outcome so tightly that you block the very thing you're praying for. And chosen one, you have been gripping because you've been trying to protect yourself. You've been trying to protect your heart. You've been trying to protect your faith. You've been trying to protect your hope from disappointment. But protection can turn into limitation if you never loosen your hands. So tonight, we loosen our hands, not to lose what matters, but to make space for what's meant for us to finally arrive. Now listen carefully, because this is where the shift becomes real. January 13th isn't asking you to wait for a miracle. It's asking you to become available for change. And the way we do that is simple, but powerful. I want you to choose one word tonight. Just one. A word you will live from. A word you will return to when doubt starts talking. A word that becomes your anchor when your emotions rise. Here are some words that carry power: peace, courage, boundaries, consistency, faith, discipline, self-respect, clarity, patience, freedom, healing, truth. Let one word choose you. Don't overthink it. The word that hits your chest, the one that makes you feel something, that's the one. If you're still here with me, take 1 second and comment your word. Not later, right now. Because when you name it, you anchor it. And when we see each other choosing peace, courage, boundaries, clarity, it strengthens all of us. Go ahead. Type your word. We're doing this together. Now say your word softly, and as you say it, make it personal. Peace is what I choose. Courage is what I choose. Boundaries are what I choose. Clarity is what I choose. Because chosen one, your life shifts when your language shifts. Now, I want you to do something most people skip, and that's why they stay stuck. I want you to ask for guidance, but with specificity, not desperation, not panic, not, please prove yourself to me. Specificity is faith with direction, so say this: within the next 72 hours, bring me clarity, not confusion, not mixed signals, clarity. Show me what to do next, show me what to release, show me what is truly for me, and then breathe. Because here's what happens next. People think the sign is always supernatural. But most of the time, the sign is practical. It comes as a conversation. It comes as an opportunity. It comes as a decision that suddenly becomes easy. It comes as a moment where you finally see the truth you've been avoiding. So let me tell you what to watch for, so you don't miss it. First, watch for perfect timing. A message that lands exactly when your spirit needed it. A sentence you overhear that feels like it was placed in the air for you. A friend reaching out after you've been silently asking for support. A random moment that feels too aligned to dismiss. Second, watch for clarity, not a rush, not chaos. Clarity feels calm. It feels like your mind finally stops fighting itself. It feels like you can breathe without that tightness in your chest. It feels like you suddenly understand why something wasn't working, and you stop blaming yourself. Third, watch for an invitation to choose your word. This is the big one. Life will bring you a moment that requires your anchor. If your word is boundaries, you'll be tested to say no. If your word is courage, you'll be invited to step forward. If your word is peace, you'll be asked to stop arguing with what drains you. If your word is clarity, you'll be shown exactly what's been confusing you, so you can release it. And chosen one, that moment isn't punishment, it's confirmation. Because life doesn't only comfort you, life trains you, and you are being trained for what you asked for. Now let's go deeper, because I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, I've tried before, I've believed before, I've prayed before, I've waited before, and I still got disappointed. I hear you. And I want you to know, disappointment doesn't mean you were wrong to hope. Disappointment doesn't mean you weren't guided. Disappointment doesn't mean you weren't chosen. Sometimes disappointment happens because you are being protected from a version of your life that would have broken you later. Sometimes the closed door was mercy. Sometimes the delay was alignment. Sometimes the silence was a redirection. And if you can hear me right now, if something in your chest is tightening, like you're remembering everything you've endured, then listen, you're still here. That alone is proof of strength. That alone is proof of purpose. Because the version of you who could have quit didn't. The version of you who could have turned cold didn't. The version of you who could have stopped believing, didn't. You're here. And that's why this turning point is real. Because you didn't survive everything you survived just to stay stuck in the same cycle. No, you were shaped. You were refined. You were strengthened, not to suffer forever, but to rise with wisdom. And wisdom is what makes this shift different. This shift isn't just emotion. This shift is maturity. This shift is you recognizing your own power again. So tonight, we're not only asking for signs, we're building stability, because alignment doesn't mean life becomes perfect. Alignment means you become steady. Alignment means your mind stops spiraling. Alignment means your heart stops begging. Alignment means your choices start matching your prayers. And chosen one, your choices are sacred, even the small ones. Choosing rest instead of burnout. Choosing silence instead of proving yourself. Choosing self-respect instead of chasing. Choosing peace instead of drama. Choosing consistency instead of emotional impulse. These choices don't look dramatic to the world, but they change everything. And this is where community matters, because when you're alone, doubt sounds like truth. But when you're surrounded, even through a screen, by people who are choosing growth, choosing clarity, choosing healing, it becomes easier to stay steady. So right now, I want you to feel the we of this moment. We are releasing. We are choosing. We are realigning. We are stepping into clarity. We are becoming the kind of people who don't abandon ourselves. And you may not know everyone watching, but you are connected to them through the same hunger. The hunger to stop surviving and start living. That's why you're here. Now, I need you to hear something that might change your entire perspective. You do not need to chase what's meant for you. What's meant for you will recognize you when you recognize yourself, and recognition starts internally. It starts when you stop shrinking. It starts when you stop apologizing for your needs. It starts when you stop negotiating with your own boundaries. It starts when you stop calling your intuition overthinking. Chosen one, your intuition has been trying to save you. Your inner voice has been trying to guide you. Your emotions have been trying to communicate. And tonight, instead of fighting your feelings, we translate them. Because your feelings are not your enemy. They're information. If you feel heavy, something needs release. If you feel anxious, something needs clarity. If you feel restless, something needs movement. If you feel numb, something needs gentleness. If you feel hope rising, quietly, something is aligning. So don't shame yourself tonight. Don't judge yourself. Be kind to your mind. Be soft with your heart. Be patient with your process. Because the shift you're stepping into isn't just about results. It's about identity. It's about becoming someone who can hold what you asked for. And that's why this turning point is powerful. Not because you'll never struggle again, but because you won't be the same person inside the struggle. Your posture changes, your tone changes, your energy stabilizes, your decisions become clearer, your reactions become calmer, your self-respect becomes louder than your fear. And people will notice, not because you're trying to impress them, but because alignment is visible. It shows up in how you speak, how you pause, how you stop explaining yourself, how you stop begging to be understood, how you stop chasing and start choosing. Now, I want you to take another breath, and I want you to imagine, just for a moment, what your life feels like when your word becomes real. If your word is peace, imagine waking up without dread. If your word is courage, imagine making the call you've been avoiding. If your word is boundaries, imagine saying no without guilt. If your word is clarity, imagine your mind becoming quiet enough to hear the next step. If your word is faith, imagine trusting without needing constant proof. Feel it. Not as fantasy, as permission. Because permission is part of the shift. You don't need someone else to validate what you already know. You don't need someone else to approve your growth. You don't need someone else to understand your boundaries. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to become. And you are not alone. Now, I'm going to speak directly to the part of you that still doubts. The part of you that says, "What if I hope and get disappointed again?" Listen, hope is not naive. Hope is not weak. Hope is not something you should be embarrassed about. Hope is spiritual strength. But tonight, we're not doing blind hope. We're doing grounded hope. Hope with boundaries. Hope with action. Hope with discernment. Hope with self-respect. That is empowerment. That is maturity. That is alignment. So here's what we're doing from this moment forward. We're noticing the signs without obsessing. We're receiving clarity without forcing. We're trusting the process without abandoning ourselves. We're taking steps, even small ones, in the direction of our word. Because small steps are still movement, and movement breaks stagnation. Now, as you carry this into the next 72 hours, remember this. If something falls away, let it fall. If something feels forced, release it. If something brings peace, follow it. If something drains you, honor the warning. If something aligns, take the step. Because your life is speaking, and you are ready to listen. Chosen one, put your hand over your chest again, and say this slowly, like you're planting it into your nervous system. I am guided, I am protected, I am ready for clarity. I release fear. I choose my word. I choose alignment. What is meant for me will recognize me. What is not meant for me will fall away with grace. Breathe. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw relax. Let your mind unclench. Because you don't need to fight tonight. Tonight is not war. Tonight is return. Return to yourself. Return to your peace. Return to your power. Return to your direction. And when the sign comes, whether it arrives as a message, a decision, an opportunity, or a quiet knowing, you will recognize it. Not because it's loud, but because it feels steady. And chosen one, steady, is what you deserve. If you felt seen by this message, stay with us. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Like this video so more people who need this can find it. And if you want to lock in this turning point, type one simple sentence in the comments. I'm ready. Because we're not just watching videos. We're building a community of people who choose healing over chaos, clarity over confusion, and alignment over fear. And you belong here. January 13th marks a realignment. And you're not alone in it. Not anymore.